What's going on, Benny?
What's going on, Eddie?
Dude, it's crazy just calling you Benny. I'm being straight up with you. This is the first official episode of the TheVetRiotPodcast.
Oh yeah, can't wait to dig into this, man. I know me and you got a lot of history, but this is like a fresh start, and looking forward to it.
Can you push that flag back? 'Cause it's going to cover this.
Yes, people, we're still ghetto fabulous.
Man, it's been a crazy run. Big Ben and I, Benny and I, we got history with the podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we started a podcast going on 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we did it for a while, and then we kind of went our separate ways for a little bit. You did your own thing, I did my own thing. And for whatever reason, it just didn't pan out, I don't think, for either one of us individually.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, we had a lot more success when we were together, and you still wanted to podcast, and I still wanted to podcast. And we felt like a phoenix. We needed to be reborn.
Yeah.
And become better than ever. And so I came up with the idea. I was like, hey, this podcast needs to be more of us, more representative of who you are, who I am. And we started brainstorming ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And you came up with a few decent ones. I thought I came up with a few decent ones. But the one that really stuck was the one I came up with. Much love in the world to all our veterans out there. Eddie is a veteran himself. And so that's something I really wanted to incorporate into the podcast. And me, I tried to sign up, but it didn't go my way. I was medically unable to. But I always enjoyed being a patriot. I love my country. And so I tried to take those two ideas between a veteran and a patriot, and I just kind of mashed them together, and I was like, the Vetriot.
Right.
And it's kind of, Eddie fell in love with that, and we kind of took that name and started running with it.
Who loves America more than veterans and patriots, by the way?
Donald Trump.
Because there's a lot.
he's a patriot.
Well, you
himself.
don't find a lot of politicians out there who truly diehard love America.
No, and I totally agree that they treat America more of like, a smart man once said, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And I think a lot of politicians kind of forgot that. They forget that politicians work for us, we the people. Mm-hmm. They work for us. And that's kind of one of the reasons I was always a fan of Donald Trump, because he's not a career politician, and he didn't spend his life gouging our eyes out with taxes and this and that. He just kind of came out there. He was a non-career politician, so right. He was a businessman, and he's treating America as a business, which I think is the way to go at this point in time, because he got us out of a lot of rough deals and saved us a lot of money. And I didn't mean to keep name dropping Donald Trump. This wasn't the whole point of it, but it just.
I got a question for you, Big Ben. Was Donald Trump ever a Democrat? Back in the Clinton area?
There's a lot of people that say that. There's a lot of memes that go around saying that. I haven't found any solid actual proof. Like I said, I see a lot of memes. People see a meme and they take it for the truth. Mm-hmm. And there's even one meme where a teenage girl was sitting on his lap, and they were like saying all this nasty stuff, and they're like, do you know that's his daughter on his lap?
Yeah.
They were just sitting in the car playing around, nothing, like you do with your daughter, I do with my daughter. And people are like, he's a sexist, and I'm like, do you know that's his daughter? You're really saying that about a fucking teenage kid?
Mm-hmm.
It was just wrong. So that was just one of the examples that kind of came up. But like I said, I see a lot of memes out there that try to say this or that about him, and none of them are true. I haven't found any concrete, solid evidence to say otherwise.
What about the whole thing going around the meme research, where people get their research from memes? You know what I mean?
It's a fact. People do that, and I really despise it. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
People take a meme and they take it for truth and think it, and they run with it, and mm-hmm. It's pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah. I was listening to CNN, I think it was CNN, just checking their stuff out, and they were saying that there's no way that Donald Trump's ever going to win. And then you got like Fox Network, and they're showing the same polls that CNN's showing that Donald Trump's behind.
That's what they said in 2016.
And here's the thing, they're just, I haven't done not one poll. I have not done one poll. Have you done a poll?
I haven't. And here's the thing: it's liberal news sites polling liberal people.
Exactly.
So they only poll their own demographic.
I don't even know who the heck. I don't personally have any friends who've actually gone out and done a poll yet, like anything.
Yeah, and it will sit there and say, yeah, we polled 1,500 people, and where are you polling these people? Are you polling them over in a liberal town in a liberal city, or are you going to go to both cities, like get some over here, some over there? They're not doing that. They're only staying in a certain demographic area where they know it's going to create certain results.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with these polls. They're all, I don't want to say fake, but they're very, very.
They're too early. No one.
And
no
early
one's
wasn't.
gotten out there.
They are kind of early, but like they're just not accurate. When you only poll one demographic of people, you're only going to get that one demographic. That's exactly what happened in 2016. Every single poll said that he was going to lose, and what happened? He fucking won.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 years later, they still can't accept that loss. What have they done in these past 4 years? They have done nothing but tried to get him out of office. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars of mine, taxpayer money to try to get him out of office. They tried the Russiagate, found out it was Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
They tried all these other different things, the stuff with China, found out it was Biden. And people, and again, you see all these memes where people say he was colluding with Russia. No, he wasn't. They found out it was Hillary that was colluding with Russia.
Yeah.
All his dealings in China. It was Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, and with Joe Biden's approval, they got millions of dollars from the Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
People don't do their due diligence in researching facts.
I think a lot of the people here in the United States, they've been lied to by not only the media, but their own friends who believe the media, and then they talk to their buddies and spread lies or spread misinformation. I believe that many people I know personally who will sit there and spew and regurgitate everything they're picking up off of off of the left-wing news, and I personally watch it because I want to get a good look at what they're doing. That's what I do. I watch far left, far right. I watch even libertarian media, everything, alternative media. I watch it all, and I get I can see I get a good perspective of what everybody's saying, and kind of you can piece it all up together. It's very easy to find out where the truth's at because stuff starts stacking on top of each other that sounds right, and then you start picking up a story. You're like, wow, okay. And then months later, you find out, oh, it was true. Or let's say like the Russian collusion. Donald Trump and everyone in his cabinet kept saying, well, that's not us. It ain't us.
And then once all the facts came out, it was Hillary.
Exactly.
And it was, and also John McCain.
John McCain.
He paid for that dossier, that famous, infamous dossier that was going around.
I'm a veteran. I'll call him an idiot. I'll call him an idiot.
He is an idiot.
And a stupid bastard.
It just, he paid for that dossier. That's what the whole probe found out. He paid for it. Hillary backed it up, and it was between them two, and I'm sure Obama and several other people. Obama wasn't it, and let me just back it. He was part of it.
He was part of it. Or he knew about it.
Yeah, he knew all about it.
Yeah.
And people still would refuse to believe that. And even anytime they give an inkling of, okay, well, Obama's not president anymore, so why don't you get off dick riding him and try to just focus on the present? Be like, well, you have to acknowledge the past in order for you to accept the present.
Yeah.
You have to sit here and say, yeah, Obama fucked shit up. Obamacare fucked up the medical industry. I could sit here and talk about Obama all day and tell you how he fucked up the whole country, the whole Medicare industry. And Joe Biden's trying to support everything he did. Yeah, Obamacare, you can keep your own doctor. That was a fucking flat out lie.
Think about the pre-existing condition thing that Donald Trump just passed into law.
Yeah, and I can't fucking stand when people say, well, I have a pre-existing condition. I have cancer. I have this and that. My heart goes out to you if you do have any pre-existing conditions. But don't sit there and say Donald Trump isn't protecting you. Part of his plan includes Medicare not Medicare, medical industries
Mhm.
accepting you with pre-existing
And
conditions.
lowering
They
the
lowering
medication.
premiums, lowering copays.
Yeah.
Pre-existing conditions is something Donald Trump is protecting.
Mhm.
He's not trying to oust you. He's not.
You ever heard of those claims of people saying that Americans going to Mexico or Canada to go get insulin and stuff like that because
They've been doing that for years, though.
and they've been doing that for years.
Years.
I remember as a kid, my mom saying, "Oh, we're going to Mexico to go get some, while we're in Mexico, we'll get some medication or medicine we need."
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing that forever.
And a lot of times it sucks that politics get brought into it, but really it's the people that control medical care. It's all the big pharma companies.
Big pharma.
The reason why it's their fault is because they found out at an early stage, decades ago, that money is in the treatment, not in the cure. There could very well be a cure for cancer out there,
Yeah.
but they don't want to put that out there because the cure is repeat customers. That's where the money is. So if you give them a treatment and say come back next week, give them another treatment, and you do this for 2-3 years, however long it takes, that's where they get their money, is their repeat business. If you just throw out a cure, there's no money in that. So
Why do you think car companies, they don't make these indestructible engines anymore like they used to? Toyota used to make them back in the 80s and the early 90s.
It's the same principle. The money is in the repeat customer. It's not in the, I would love to buy a car, a truck, and have it for the rest of my life. But the truth is, what do they last? 5 to 10 years, depending on how good you take care of it.
Yeah, if you put like freaking 15,000 miles on it, 15,000 miles a year on it. I mean, it's.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right. How about you?
Good.
I'm Ben.
Oh, Rosendo.
Rosendo?
Yeah.
And freaking, if you think about it, if you repeating customers, if you completely heal them, there goes the profit. If you think about it, if you completely heal someone with cancer, completely cure them.
I honestly
They're
think
not
the
coming
cure.
back.
I think the cure for cancer has been found.
I think the cure for AIDS has been found. Look at Magic Johnson.
Very much so. But it just, like I said, the money is in the treatment. It's not in the cure. And it's a fucked up world we live in, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Ben, was this president debate that just happened the other day.
Don't mention the fly, because that's all the media could talk about. Because they don't want to talk about how she got her ass handed to her. And they don't want to talk about that. They just want to talk about a stupid fucking fly.
Right, and then they're over there freaking making money off the fly by buying a bunch of fly swatters.
One of the things, I had created this intro that we had, and I created the script and everything for it, and one of the lines says, "Two badass American dads," and that's something I know you take a lot of pride in, and I take a lot of pride in. I got, all my kids, their names are tattooed on me. Even my wife, she's suffered a miscarriage. I even had that baby tattooed on me. Being a parent, being a father is something that I love, and being a father, being a parent, it makes me very pro-life.
Yeah.
And one of the lines that Vice President Pence had said, "I'm pro-life and I don't apologize for it."
Yeah.
I loved that line. I'm a very pro-life guy, and when he told that to Kamala, I'm like, he won right there, like hands down. If I was not a fan of Pence or Trump, like he would have won me with that one line.
Yeah.
It totally captivated me because people don't like talking about abortion. People don't, people think, oh, women's rights. Well, what about the right of the baby? I always believed in government-funded adoption, not abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I think as much as I don't like government in every aspect of our life, I think if there was more funding towards adoption and taken away from abortion, there'd be abortion. Killing babies is wrong. Like that's just the biggest take away from this is killing babies is wrong. And when Pence said that, it really captivated me even more so. And I just loved that line. And, you know, like I said, they want to focus on a fucking fly. The media, I forget how many fucking posts I've seen about the stupid fly on his head.
I think I was one of the first ones of comments about it. That fly is very disrespectful.
You know, it just, you know, like I said, it just, they took away from the actual ass beating that fucking Kamala Harris actually received.
She really did.
And if you even notice, if you watched it, she was sitting there taking notes the entire time. Like, come on, man, this is a debate. You're supposed to come off the fly. You know, just
come off the fly. I saw a little freaking MAGA hat on that fly, by the way.
You know, it just, you know, that's the way I feel about the whole thing. You know, I think, you know, he had everything going for him, and she had notes, and she still lost.
Yeah.
You know, but he really did a number, and like I said, you know. But there's a lot of things that this new podcast is going to represent to us, and I don't ever want to shy away from the fact that, yeah, we're going to talk politics. We're also going to talk families. We're going to talk kids. That's something that I know a lot of our listeners have kids, and you know, that's something we won't ever shy away from, is just being proud of being family men, being patriotic, being veteran, being
American,
pro-American. You know, and anything that goes on in the country, in the world, we really want to blow your minds away with our opinions and talk about. We're not going to be afraid to talk about anything, any topic that ever comes up, whether how controversial it is, whether how much adversary, or no matter what it is, we're going to be there to talk about it. Right? We don't care what it is. We have everyone. It's like an asshole. Everyone has one. Everyone has a fucking opinion, and we're gonna give you every opinion that we can on any major topic that comes up, or anything in our lives that comes up, our work lives. We're gonna talk about it all.
I want to go take it back to Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
When I was sitting there watching that VP debate, every time Kamala said something, I would yell out at the top of my lungs, "Lie! Lie!" You know?
Yep.
And even when it came to the Abraham Lincoln thing, when she brought up Abe Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
Honest Abe. Honest Abe. You know, like, she's saying he didn't fill in an empty part of the courts either. But the fact that, you know, they were on break, and on top of that, they were in the middle of a war, weren't they?
Well, see, what had happened, if you guys remember, there's a big thing that goes around every so often where the government shutdown is what it's called. They shut down back then too. Mm-hmm. And so what happened is the government was shut down, so they weren't in session or whatever to be able to bring that vote. So it wasn't, you know, Abe Lincoln saying, "Oh, we're going to wait till after the election." No, the fucking courts and everybody, the government was shut down, so they couldn't do it. So get your facts right, Kamala. And another lie that she even got caught up in was fracking. Yeah. She's like, "We're not here to stop fracking." But then you go and look at her videos prior to this. Yes, we're definitely going to be stopping fracking. Mm-hmm. You know, fracking, you know, that's a lot of jobs in that industry. The oil and gas industry, there are so many jobs that come within there. And she wants to get rid of all those jobs.
And I know fracking can be dangerous to the environment. I think we all know that, you know. But also, put up a ship full of oil, you know, is dumped in the ocean, you know,
which happens a lot.
Which happens a lot. That's, you know, that's horrible.
My opinion on, you know, drilling for oil, I'd rather us drill our own oil than have to buy it from the people that hate us, because that's what we've done religiously all through the past. We got our oil from Iran, Saudi Arabia, all these people that scream death to America. We've bought their oil in doing so and making them filthy stinking rich. Why are we doing that? And so when Trump comes in and he starts, you know, promoting that we're going to drill our own oil, I'm all for it. Now, is it dangerous? Yes. Does shit happen? Yes. But so does everything else in every other industry.
But we also have OSHA too. We have OSHA. You think those people in those other countries have OSHA?
No, definitely not.
You think they can underbid us on oil because of the fact they don't have OSHA or any kind of safety labor laws? Of course, they can. They can cut the prices down or whatever the hell they want. Matter of fact,
But at the same time, they can also jack up their prices how much they want.
Exactly, because we're not drilling our own. But could you imagine we start drilling our own oil here, which we have been. The United States has been drilling their own oil for a long time. But to produce what they can give us, they're going to try to beat out our prices. We could probably be back and buy an oil under $1, and you'll have a difference. Hey, look, American oil, foreign oil. I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to send your cheap shit over here and not expect to be taxed, or a trade tax on their end. If you want to send your stuff here, you're going to pay.
Yeah, that's where Trump comes in with the tariffs.
Right, because as far as I know, everything we freaking have is literally made in China, Mexico, India, Honduras, Guatemala, every country just about in Central America makes T-shirts and socks for us, and then you got people in China making us shoes and electrical stuff in Korea, stuff like that. So think about all this stuff.
Even look at electrical cars.
Cars, yeah.
Cobalt. That is the cobalt. The element cobalt is found in the mines in Africa, where they have no OSHA, they have no labor laws.
Right.
They have slavery there, and they use child slaves to mine cobalt, and then they ship it out, and they produce the batteries which power these electric cars. But no one wants to talk about that, do they?
No. And you got to see like the ginormous hole that mining for cobalt and the element of material you need to make batteries in Africa. When you look at their mining for that versus copper, holy cow! It's like copper has it'll you have to be mining copper for probably at 50 years to get the hole that they're getting in mining for material for batteries.
It just comes down to labor laws, child slaves, adult slaves. It all goes across the board.
They're moving so much dirt, getting so much material out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're working people around the clock, all the time.
You know how many people are buried within those mines over there? They just get run over. Oh, this kid just died from exhaustion. Okay, we'll just keep moving on. So they just move right past his body. They don't even fucking bury these people.
They just kind of leave them off to the side, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, their tractors run over them, stupid shit like that. It's really horrendous. And then even look on the other side of the coin. Look at fucking all these people that want to buy all these Air Jordans and Nikes. Those factory workers over in China get paid like what, 15, 20 cents an hour?
Right, because China devalues a currency, and they don't have any labor laws. They don't have any safety, so they don't have to sit there and worry about, hey man, I'll work my guys 18 hours a day. And the law and the federal government ain't gonna come here and tell me to shut it down or be fair with the workers. That's why when I look at these famous people, Nike, basketball players with shoes and football, whatever, and they're over here get into this social justice warrior crap, you sit there and look at them like, you freaking hypocrite. Hypocrisy at its finest when it comes to these people.
People take American values, the American way of life. They take it for granted. And that's something we don't do here. A lot of people, especially the younger generation, you got all these fucking liberal commie teachers teaching all these new liberal commie students now. That's why I hate the government getting involved in the schooling system. Because they teach a certain aspect of life and they promote it to these kids, and these kids eat it all up. And you teach a certain thing and people are just, that's what they're going to think is so correct. So if you teach these kids to hate America and say how bad we are, that's what they're going to think. But you, instead of teaching them to hate America, teach them to love America. Teach them that America is good. Yes, America has some shit in its past, between taking, I don't even want to say it. I hate when people say, oh, they stole the lands from the Indians. I'm Native American myself. They didn't steal the land. They conquered the land, which Native Americans did to each other. You got this one tribe, wars with this one tribe. They conquer that tribe. Guess what? That's a conquered tribe. That's a conquered land. And they even had slavery within those tribes. Conquering land is not something new. It's not an American thing. You go to any other country in the world, It's this set of people versus this set of people. Who's going to conquer who? This has been going on since the beginning of time. I don't know why people think this is just an American thing, that we, yes, yes, the Americans conquered the Native Americans. Yeah, they did some shady shit. Yeah, I'm not saying America's perfect. I will never say that. But the American way of life and our American values are a lot better here versus you go to China, you go to Russia, you go to Korea, North Korea, you go to any other country, you're going to be begging to come back here because there's a certain level of freedom that we have here. And there's a certain, we have so many veterans and so many people that died for that flag, for those freedoms, that unfortunately some of those freedoms give you the permission to talk shit about America, which I think is just travesty. And, some of those freedoms include people burning our flag, which I think should be a federal offense. It should be treason.
Yep.
But no, it falls under freedom of expression somehow. I totally disagree with that portion of it.
I look at it as like, how Donald Trump just put the law 10 years in prison, knocking down a statue.
Federal monuments.
Yeah, monuments and stuff. I think they should do that with the flag. I mean, think about it. If you get caught burning a $100 bill, isn't that enough? Isn't that illegal?
It is.
Okay, well, why not a flag?
Because the lefty was in office at that point in time,
Yeah.
and it went into, I believe it did go all the way to the Supreme Court, and they ruled that as a freedom of expression, even though you're not expressing nothing.
No, you're not.
You're
basically
I
saying
challenge any of these liberal leftards
Yeah.
to go to these countries. Go to fucking Venezuela. Go to Peru. Go to fucking North Korea. Go to fucking Russia. Go to where you don't get all these freedoms. Go to where they had socialism. And tell me you don't want to come back to America. I dare anybody to do that.
Yeah. Go anywhere in the world and question their history.
Question their current government. Question the president of North Korea, the dictator of North Korea. I dare you say one thing out of line about him. He'll be in a body bag before you finish that sentence.
Oh yeah. Yep. Exactly. And here in America, they're trying to strip us of our own rights and our constitutional rights too. Okay, so they say, hey, we don't want them to burn their flag, but we can't say American pride, or we can't have our own views, or let's say conservative views, without them calling us a bunch of racists and bigots and shit.
I can't tell you how many times on Facebook or any social media websites I've gone on to, and I just state my opinion, and I get called a racist, a homophobe, a xenophobe. I get called all these phobe names, and it's just like, okay, let's break it down. Homophobe, that means you're afraid of gays, or you don't like gays.
Yeah. No, you're afraid of gays.
Yeah.
Pretty much what it means.
First of all, I'm not afraid of them. Do I agree with the gay lifestyle? No, absolutely not. I don't think it's right. Does that mean I'm afraid of them? No. Does it mean I dislike them? No. There's good gay people. Just because I don't agree with that person's lifestyle doesn't mean I won't sit there and call them a friend or have a conversation with them.
Or a family member.
Or plenty of family members. I mean, just the other day, one of my cousins was coming out as transgender. I totally disagree with that lifestyle. And maybe this is a bad example because there's a little beef between, I don't want to say beef between us, but like just take my cousin out of the picture, a normal transgender person. Yes, I disagree with your lifestyle, but that doesn't mean I'm going to treat you less than human. I could still have a conversation with you. If I get to know you, I can still call you a friend. If going down that path.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Racist. I've gotten called that. Trump's got called. I think he gets called that every couple seconds.
Dude, you got black cousin or uncle, or Mike.
That's my cousin.
Black cousins.
Yeah, I got black cousins. A lot of my aunties are Native Americans, and they happen to like black dudes. Nothing wrong with that. So I got a lot of black cousins, and not that I'm trying to say, oh, I know black people or I got black family. People could still be racist, but I'm not. The cousin that he's bringing up, I probably look up to that cousin more than any other one of my cousins. I got a lot of love for my cousin Mike. you know, he's probably he's probably the oldest cousin that I have, and I look up to him a lot. I got a lot of love and respect for that guy. But black guys at work, I work with black guys. They're my friends. I got white guys at work. They're my friends. Mexicans, plenty of Mexicans at work. They're my friends. You know.
You're called a phobe. Have you been called a xenophobe yet?
On Facebook, I have, because I kind of got on the Trump train with calling it the China virus with the COVID and all that.
Yeah.
So as soon as I started doing that, oh, you're a xenophobe and all this and that. And I'm like, what did they call the Spanish flu? Why did they call it the Spanish flu? Because it came from Spain. You know, so to me, I use the same ideology for that. This virus came from China. This virus could have been isolated in China. There's so many things we can go down, and I don't really like talking about the coronavirus all that much, but it just, you know, it could have been prevented. And so I did what Trump was saying. I was calling it the China virus.
Yeah, the China flu.
Yeah, that's basically what it was, because that's where it originated. Now, that's not saying anything against Chinese people. I mean, I don't personally know any, but if anyone popped up, you know, same as anybody else, I'd be willing to have a conversation, and you know, if I became friends with them, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking the same. I haven't been called a xenophobe. You know, I mean, I look hella Mexican, so I don't think they call
You
me
look
a
white.
xenophobe.
I don't think you look Mexican.
No, I don't look white.
Yeah,
but I haven't been called a xenophobe. But this dude online did say something to me. He goes, "You know what's worse than a white racist? A Mexican racist." And I said, "Motherfucker, all Mexicans are prejudiced. I swear to God. You know, hey, take black people, take white people out of the room, leave a bunch of Hispanics in there. They're gonna start, you know, like a Felipe Esparza joke. What he said, they're gonna start noticing the dark Mexicans. You know, they're gonna start noticing the white Mexicans." They're gonna talking about their light hair, their light skin, their dark. They notice it, you know.
You know, it's because, you know, people think of Chicanos or Hispanics. They, what's the word? They want to think they are all Mexican, but they're not all Mexican. You know, there's South America. There's so many different countries that Latino, Chicano people can come from.
No, Chicanos come from Mexico.
There's different. Yeah, but there's Mexico is so big.
So what's going on is, this is what it is, all right? The only way you're gonna get a Chicano out of Guatemala is he's got to have a Mexican mom or dad from America. That's how you, like me.
But
for instance, I'm half Mexican. I'm technically Chicano, but I have Central American in me as well with my mom, with my dad's side. You know, so you can get it. But what Chicano means, little Mexican. That's what it means. Chiquito Mexicano. Chicano. That's what it means, all right? So, but I mean, you know, you were on the path, yeah. A lot of Hispanics, you know, they're well, let's say Mexicans.
They get all grouped up. They get all grouped up into Mexicans,
right?
But they're not all Mexicans. Is overall my point.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Freaking, at some point, you're gonna get some guy who's gonna call a bunch of Guatemalans a bunch of Mexicans. That happens.
You know, one thing that kind of like I never understood is, you know, I'm on TikTok and I see all these little videos and stuff, and people get asked, black people can't be racist. Black people aren't racist. Look at all their history. Look at all they had to put up with, or they try to justify their racism. I'm like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what color skin you have. You can be a racist, or you cannot be a racist. You know, it just because you know, slavery and all that. Yeah, it sucked. And every country has had slavery, and but it doesn't mean that a black person can't be racist.
Yeah, there's a lot of black people who are supremacists.
Yeah, there is such a thing as black supremacy.
Matter of fact,
it happens.
Matter of fact, a lot of black supremacy, you know, it's all stereotypical of anything, but for the most part, I don't think a 5 foot Mexican dude is gonna do very good in the NBA. Okay, that's just me. All right, it doesn't say it can't happen, because there's been a 5'3" tall, you know, Spud Webb or Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy Bogues.
So you know, it's happened. It's there. It's you know, it can happen, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on it that the league ever turns into a Mexican, dominant NBA. I doubt it. Doubt it'll ever turn into that.
Look at water polo. Look at hockey. It's demographics. I mean, there's no superiority one race to the other. Yeah, you got some that are better at this or some that are better at that, but just at the end of the day, we're all fucking people.
Everybody can be good at though. Shooting a fucking gun. Join the military. Go hike. Everyone can learn how to hike. Everyone can learn how to shoot.
You're no longer white. You're no longer black. You're no longer brown. You are green.
Yep, and that's in the Marines. That's when I saw people from every walk of life, every state in the United States or everywhere, black, white, Asian, Hispanic. I saw everybody, and they were either all good. I mean, all of them were good, or they were all the same, or whatever. But it doesn't matter. We as a platoon, or my company where I was in, we had every race, religion, everybody, and some of us were good, some of us were bad, but there was a little bit of good of every color on top and every color on the bottom that was bad. We just didn't matter. That's not a race thing. That's what you put into your work or what you put into being a military. They say sometimes the Marine Corps is what you make of it. So that's basically what it is. Some people just don't put all that effort into it. I put mediocre effort a lot of the time because I just was a lazy fucking dude.
I think that could be applied to any of the branches. I mean, and even outside the military, life is what you make
work
it.
Too.
Yeah, exactly. Outside the military, life is what you make it. If you're gonna give a mediocre shot at something, then you're gonna get a mediocre result. And I'm not saying every time you shoot for the moon you're gonna land, but it's better to shoot for the moon and miss, and then shoot for nothing and go nowhere.
Ben, what about this? Since we're talking about a race in America, in America, there's a lot of private companies that specifically target certain people to hire because maybe they can get one off on them, or the quality of work, or the speed, or maybe the language barrier, or whatever. Is that these people's rights to target certain jobs, like people with the population, like for instance, freaking grass cutting company, a lawn care company, where they'll target minorities, low skill. They don't really give a crap too much about your knowledge. They just want, and it's also low skill, but they usually target minorities. But then again, you gotta. For instance, I was watching something on doctors. There's a lot of Asian doctors out there, and there's a lot of Indian doctors out there, white doctors, and they're specifically targeted to get hired in certain, neighborhoods. Let's say hospitals or certain hospitals. That's who they're looking for. They're not really looking for Hispanic people. But when you go to these Hispanic neighborhoods, they're going to target more Spanish-speaking doctors if they can find them. Why? Because of the language barrier. Do you think that's racist at all? Is that a form of nationalism? Or let's say Chinese American nationalists. Do you know what that is? People in Chinatown making Chinese businesses, making an entire block full of Chinese businesses. That's a little form, not an extreme form. That's a very little form, which is pretty cool, of Chinese American nationalism. But you get that here in Colorado off of Federal. You see a lot of Hispanic, businesses. It's a little form of Mexican American nationalism, which is good. But back to my freaking original point. Do you think it's racist to target certain people for jobs?
I don't think it's racist. I think it's definitely their business model, but do I think it's a good one? Not necessarily. But a lot of those jobs that I think that they're doing that to are a lot of the minimal wage or low entry level positions, more likely. Cutting grass. As much I respect any type of person's job, especially blue collar jobs. Cutting grass, that is more or less an entry level position.
Yeah.
Doesn't take a whole lot of knowledge to cut grass. Being a fry cook, being a line cook, being a waiter, being a server, McDonald's work, cashier, stuff like that. Yes, certain like the grass cutting and cooks and stuff, they can definitely target certain minorities, Hispanics or Asians. It's different. Different minorities. I don't think it's racist for them to do so. Is it what I would necessarily do? Not necessarily. I like to think if I owned a business, I would hire just one of the things, and I've told you this before. You fill out a piece of paper application to here or to there. One of the questions that always gets brought up: what race are you? White, black, Hispanic, American Native, Alaska Pacific? Has all these check marks that you got to make for whatever you are. If I owned a business, that question would not be on my application because I would care less about what race they are.
Right.
I think in order to get rid of racism, you need to get rid of that question. We're fucking American.
Yeah.
American is a melting pot. I think that if they wanted to have that checkmark box, it should have a checkmark box just to say you're American, because it doesn't matter what color my skin is, unless you're the police trying to look for a certain description, like try and get a description of a person. But if I was a business owner, I would take out that question entirely. This is just me personally. I wouldn't care less what the person's race is. I would just look at their qualifications. If it was a entry level position, then I would probably hire whoever, And if it was more of a skilled position, then I would look at their experience. But like I said, getting back to it, I would take out that question. I wouldn't care what race or what ethnicity or what color the person is. I don't think it's racist for people to hire those people, but it just maybe a little ignorance there. But at the same time, like going back to grass cutting, a lot of those people that are applying for those jobs happen to be Mexican, happen to be Hispanic.
Okay, so here's another one for you. So you're saying you take that question out. So what if you got a bunch of people who apply for a job, and that question is actually already ruled out? Well, they start reading names, last names, Hispanic last names. You can tell the difference. A lot of African Americans have different first names. They have pretty Americanized last names. A lot of their first names are a little different. Hispanics same thing with Hispanics. Chicanos are different. They're a little bit more Americanized. But what I'm getting to is, even though they take out the race part, do you still think that they're going to be choosing people off the basis of what their names? If they're not going by strictly their their experience.
It's very possible, because I get what you're saying. I mean, you look at our last names, or you look at, just take a random one, Gonzalez. Obviously that person's going to be Hispanic, Chicano, versus like a person with the last name Peterson.
Right.
You look at the name, you can kind of more or less figure out, oh, this is a white person, or this is Hispanic. You'll never fully take away by looking at the person's name. Yeah, of course you're gonna know, but like I said, you can't really. I can only speak for myself. I think if anybody hires based upon a person's color, race, gender, whatever, I think that person. I don't think it's racist, but at the same time, it's probably not the best business model. But at the same time, you have to look at who's actually applying for these positions. How many Petersons are applying to be the one cutting your grass? You probably got one Peterson and 20 Gonzaleses. That's just the way of life.
Well, I'll tell you like this, Big Benny. Sorry, you guys, I'm really trying on that name thing. But you will never, ever, I don't care who the fuck you are, unless they got a microchip they plant in everyone's brain to take away prejudice, collectivism, racism, any of that, it's never gonna go away. And we as a people need to actually understand that it's here, and as people, we want to be better, so we're not gonna accept it. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and befriend someone who just uses the N-word all day long. I don't talk to anybody who uses the N-word, And so you choose and you pick, and eventually, as people get better at it, we're gonna avoid racist. We're going to avoid prejudiced people. We're going to avoid that, and eventually they're going to have to change on their own.
One of the ways to end racism is quit talking about it.
Stop talking about it, right?
You know, I'm not saying magically a flip of the switch, but quit promoting racism and racism will go away. Quit talking about it. Like, why does that have to be the subject of every news story every day? There was racism over here, or this was racism over here. Quit talking about it. Sometimes it's not racism. Just because this situation might incur a white person or a black person, it doesn't mean this person hates this person. It just means maybe they had some beef. Could it be street level, something happened on the street? It could be, oh, hey, this person bumped into me, or hey, this happened, or slipped a drink on my shoe or something like that. It could be something so menial it has nothing to do with the race. Yeah. And I'm not saying, like, again, there is racism. I'm not saying that there's not. But if you quit bringing racism into everything, then it's gonna go away.
It's the magical cop out.
It is
like what happened with Kamala. You know,
and she's not even black. She's Indian.
They brought her gender. They brought her gender and her race into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if she was a victim already as being a woman of color and being a woman and a woman of color.
You want to talk about hypocrisy? She was talking so much shit. The whole Me Too movement. You gotta believe. She was one of the front runners of that, saying, "You gotta believe the woman. You gotta believe the woman. It doesn't matter." Especially when Justice
Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah, especially when this kind of went down, they were saying you got to believe the woman. You got to believe. It doesn't matter if the guy is innocent. It doesn't matter if we used to have a saying in America: you're innocent until proven guilty. And then they're trying to flip the script on that, saying, "Oh, this person is guilty and has to prove his innocence." That's basically what Kamala Harris was promoting. And one of the things that she was promoting was all the little kids and all the women that were coming out against Joe Biden, and she was saying, you got to believe these women. She was saying that about Kavanaugh. She was saying that about all the guys that, you know, that were coming out as fucking chomos and, you know, all this and that, which fuck all those guys, of course. But again, innocent until proven guilty, and she was flipping it around saying, you're just guilty. You got to believe the woman no matter what. And Joe Biden was one of those guys that she was speaking against. Now all of a sudden, that's her running mate.
She called him a racist and what is it?
A rapist.
A rapist.
Mm-hmm.
She called him a racist and a rapist.
She did.
But
all that magically went away because they offered her the ticket to the White House.
Right. She was the first one out. What was that lady's name? The Garber lady? Garber? Tulsi Garber?
Tulsi Gilbert?
Tulsi Gabbard.
We know who you're talking
about. She wrecked Kamala. She wrecked her ass up, calling her out on her bullshit about when she was a DA or out in San Francisco. Dude, that woman put 3,000 men in prison.
Black men,
probably more too.
Yeah, she is on record of imprisoning more African American men in prison and keeping them there past their sentences. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, there was even an innocent man that came out, and she was trying to keep him in prison, even though it came out the facts proved that he was innocent. She was trying to keep him in prison.
She was holding the evidence that would have made him an innocent man.
Exactly. And this is the people that the left wants as their vice president. And you know, and I'll even go back and say this: this is not the Joe Biden presidency. This is working towards the Kamala's presidency. They don't really want Joe Biden. They're going to do something as soon. God forbid this happens, but if Joe Biden gets in office, they're going to do something for him so they can promote Kamala Harris. Yeah. This is the Kamala Harris campaign, not the Joe Biden campaign. She even admitted it. She said this is the Harris-Biden campaign, not the Biden-Harris one. This is the Harris-Biden one.
Damn. She's fucking nuts. I'll be honest with you, dude. I'm not a big fan of Democrats, and especially Democrats nowadays. But Tulsi Gabbard, my God, the way she speaks, she sounds like a Ron Paul. She doesn't sound Democratic. She sounds like a straight up libertarian with a few okays for social programs, like as in, you know, healthcare and stuff like that. Which, if you put it together, it kind of makes a Republican if you think about it, because Republicans do have some social programs to help people out. We didn't invent them, but we've worked with them and made them better. That's what I think Donald Trump has been trying to do with the Affordable Care Act. He says, we're going to keep the good and trash the rest.
Mm-hmm.
What's so wrong with that anyway? I don't get why they think that he's just in the office wrecking everything. You got people of color nowadays, like even before before he was elected, doing much better in life because of the opportunities they've been given. The opportunities they've been given before. They should have had these opportunities when Obama was in office.
Mm-hmm.
He should have bettered the lives of every Black American out there, and did he? I don't know.
No, I don't. You know, I think he only got elected because of his race.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. But look, if you really think about it, they're saying that Donald Trump has ruined everyone's lives, everyone's freaking life, and especially Black people's lives somehow. I just don't see it. I don't know. I just don't see it. I mean, Clinton did a lot of damage. I'm gonna pause this. We're gonna pause.
No, we're not.
Or not?
You can't pause it. We got 2 live feeds going on right now. But hey, we're still doing this Ghetto Fabulous, as I said, so there are some outside things going on, as you can see in the video, which we will be posting to YouTube. Yeah, shit happens. Once we get our own studio, then we can kind of do a little bit more legit. But until then, we'll deal with that.
So anyway, back to it. Freaking Donald Trump, he didn't fucking his lives up as much as the media's been claiming to.
Obama's the one that fucked everybody's lives up because he fucked up the healthcare
Dude,
industry.
Bill Clinton did too.
He did.
Bill Clinton did. He did that to the people, the ladies on welfare. He fucked up a lot of people's lives too because they implemented these new bills and shit, and then they go back and take them away from people that they were claiming they were doing drugs or criminals and stuff like that. Hillary Clinton called black people super predators.
Joe Biden said that he didn't want his kids going to the jungle with the African kids. And he was the jungle that he was saying was back in the day when they had segregation going on and they desegregated everything. He voted to keep it segregated because he didn't want his white kids going to school with black kids in the jungle.
What a fucking racist. What a fucking racist.
It's just the hypocrisy of the left is so fucking mind astounding. And that's what we're going to bring you to each and every episode on the TheVetRiotPodcast. We're going to talk about the shit that other people are afraid to talk about. We're going to tell you the fucking truth and facts based on our opinions.
Yeah, based on
if that makes sense.
What did Vice President say to Kamala? You're entitled to your opinions,
but you're not entitled to create your own. Your opinions are not facts, basically.
Yeah. Man, let's talk a little bit about Donald Trump's debate with Biden. I thought it was a shit show. Can I be honest with you? I thought it was a shit show. You know, I felt that Trump was
that moderator guy.
Yeah, Chris Waller. I felt he
also moderated the first debate in 2016. It wasn't with Joe Biden, but it was with Hillary. Mm-hmm. He asked the same question to Trump back then that he asked with Joe Biden. Will you condemn white supremacy? You know how many times Trump has done that so far? And he's condemned it left and right. He even added the KKK onto the fucking terrorist list. How much more do people need for him to prove that he doesn't believe in white supremacy? It pisses me off every time. He asked it way back in 2016, and he asked it again. And then they started bringing up the Proud Boys, which, from my understanding, Trump didn't even know who they were at the time.
Nope.
And so they were like, stand by, stand down, or whatever. When you hear the Proud Boys...
Actually, you know what? I think he did know who they were.
He didn't?
I think he did know who they were.
He might have. Well, he came out the next... He came out the next day and said that he didn't know.
No, I think Trump did know who they were. He knew they weren't a terrorist organization. He knew there was colored people there. He knew it. Or else he wouldn't have...
Yeah, and that's the thing. But does that moderator, does fucking
moderator,
Wallace and fucking Joe Biden, do they know that?
No, they
because
didn't know
it's crazy. Because, there's Hispanics in there. There's black people in there. There's white people in there.
There's gay people. There's gay people there too.
It just...
They even have trannies that are men, but, dressed as women. in their groups.
I don't know about that.
It's fucking weird, but you can hear this yourself if you listen to that Gavin McInnes. He'll tell you, dude, we have everyone in the Proud Boys, everybody. We're men who are celebrating Americanism, right? They're celebrating.
They call themselves Western chauvinists.
Western chauvinists.
They're just promoting America, saying the West is the best. America is the best.
Talks
Which
a
lot of their promotions and everything, that the things that they spew out are stuff that we agree with.
Yeah, they're a group that, I kind of align myself with them because of a lot of the stuff. They're against male. Well, the left doesn't like male chauvinists. They don't like masculinity.
I mean, look at what they did on social media. You can't even go to Google and pull up the Proud Boys website. No. You have to go to that DuckDuckGo. Yeah, that's the only way you're able to promote it. Because you got all these left-wing websites, Facebook, Google, Twitter, all these left-wing sites. They banned all them, but yet they're able to have other terrorist organizations on there. Mm-hmm. I mean, fucking hey, YouTube had ISIS on there.
Like when I was looking into the Proud Boys, I listened to a lot of their podcasts that they had on Apple. I could find them on Apple, couldn't find them anywhere else. Found them on Apple. I found a few videos on YouTube that had been just covered up. And they're telling you, we're just the men's group. The one Gavin McInnes, he would tell you, I'm just a fucking punk rocker.
And there is a female one too, but it's like I forget what the female ones are called. But specifically the Proud Boys, it is male. You have to be born a male.
Yeah, that's it. Born a male, you can be in it. Born a male.
In America.
Yeah. No, you don't have to be born American, because there's a lot of Cubans in that group. There's a fuck ton of Cubans in that group, and Puerto Ricans.
And honestly, I never knew that much about them either, and I'm still doing my research on them, and kind of gonna go from there.
Hold on 2 seconds. Keep talking.
We got about 2 minutes left of this podcast, and you're gonna go.
Oh, I was gonna grab a beer. Shit. Is it only an hour long?
Yeah, it's only gonna be an hour long.
All right, cool. Well, fuck, dude. I really enjoyed podcasting, Ben. For reals, I think it's one of the coolest things to do.
Yeah, I think there's always stuff that you want to talk about, and there's always stuff that I want to talk about, and like I said, we went our own ways for a minute there, and this is bringing us back, and this gives us an outlet to get all the bullshit off our chest.
Yeah.
We definitely want to promote America. We want to promote being fathers. We want to promote awareness to certain topics. A big one for me, as a lot of people know, is suicide awareness. A big one for Ed is also suicide awareness. I know it's effective with us both, and we just want to be very pro-America, and we just want to get all the facts out there as the way we see it.
Yep. And future episodes we're going to be working on. I think we could do something like this on Sunday morning. Get it out there. Get a guest in here and get it out. But anyway, it's something new, something cool. Hopefully we do this quite soon. You know what I mean? So this is an American podcast for Americans. Am I right?
Damn right. Thank you for listening to the TheVetRiotPodcast. This is Eddie, and I'm Benny. Deuces.
Benny B. Guys, that was nice. That was fucking nice.